Welcome to the external task support for your grade A's. Initially, please start off with ensuring that you have the titles before you write your work. So you have the title of A1, Assess Evidence which supports the belief that the key issues identified in D1 are relevant to working within health and social care. Then you have a title of A2, Discuss the impact of the theory, philosophical approach, legislation or report discussed in B1 on practice in areas of work covered by the chosen theme of communication. Do have the title of A3, which says discuss the professional skills required to maintain effective practice in relation to the theme of communication. And finally, your A4, which is your reference area, where it says show evidence of wider background reading or use of sources, referencing supports, assessment, analysis, or discussion. So you need to have those 4 titles in place before you can start writing your answers in. This is to ensure that the external examiner is quite clear about which section you are answering at what time. So do not forget having that information there. If we start off with your A1, A1 is asking for an assess type answer. So if we return to your guidance, if it says assess, assess is estimate or make a judgment. So let's return again to your A grade. It's saying assess evidence, make a judgment of evidence which supports the belief that the key issues that you identified way back when in your D1 are relevant to working within health and social care. It says learners must consider the relevance, so what is the point of the key issues identified in D1, and make a judgment based on available evidence. The available evidence has to be research that you have found, because you need evidence and not simply what you think, because what you think needs to be evidenced. Learners must consider drawing a conclusion from the information used within the assessment. Now, you cannot draw a conclusion from material that you haven't sourced or you haven't researched. So it is really important that you have the evidence that is required for your A1 here and featured in your assignment and in your writing to be able to complete this action. If we look at A2, it says discuss. So let us take a look if there is a feature for discuss. Discuss says give a detailed account, giving a range of views or opinions. So for this, it is vital that when we come to your A grades, you will find that you have discuss with your A2 as well as discuss with your A3. So it is asking you to discuss the impact of the theory that you may have looked at previously in your B grade and your C grade, any philosophical approach or the legislation that you looked at in your B grade and your C grade, or report discussed in B1 on practice in the areas of work covered by the chosen theme of communication. What it states here is B1 must be met before A2 can be achieved. This is always the ladder effect when it comes to cash. It means that if you want to achieve an A grade, you must have achieved the B grade. So just expect that you have to tick off everything from below before you can achieve upwards. So all the D's need to be achieved before you can be able to achieve your C's. All your C's need to be achieved before you can move up to your B's. All your B's need to be achieved before you can move up to your A's. And all your A's need to be achieved before you can move up to your A stars. So it may feel a little unnatural that you are able to answer an A star question but not achieve an A star grade, but this is because they want to see your progression from one grade to the next, and they do not simply want you to be elitist in getting all your A stars but not being able to cover the material in the previous grades. So it does say learners should present an examination of the impact on practice of the recognized theory that you may have discussed in your B and your C, and then consider if you looked at any philosophical approaches or the legislation that you covered in your B and your C, or report that was discussed in your B1. This can be demonstrated through the use of examples from practice. Remember, examples from practice means those practice of the healthcare profession and the practice of social care professions. If we take a look at A3, it is still the discuss aspect, and it says discuss the professional skills required to maintain effective practice in relation to the theme of communication. Here, you as a learner must discuss a range of professional skills required for effective practice within the context of the theme of communication. So do look at anything you have covered so far about professional skills within the practice of healthcare professionals or social care professionals. So what personal in the way of professional skills that are necessary in relation to being a nurse, a healthcare professional such as a nurse, as I mentioned already, or you're looking at a social care professional in the care setting, such as a social worker perhaps, in the context of their practice. It also says that you need to discuss why the identified professional skills that you stated, the range of them, are relevant to the theme of communication. So what is it about those specific skills that are necessary in the aspect of communication for this assignment? Finally, do not forget your A4, where you have got all your evidence that you have gathered, any quotes that you put in for your A1, A2, or A3, and the full reference in Harvard style. It says to achieve A grade, learners must include the minimum of 2 identifiable quotes and referenced quotations from different sources which support the assessment and or the discussion. Remember that without your quotes embedded within the text of your assignment and without the references to be able to support them, you will not achieve a grade A. So do make sure that if you are quoting, you are making sure that you're following the rules that are necessary. And thank you for looking at grade A's.